corn silage, haylage, and mineral protein mix, and dry corn. Most of your sand will settle down there. It comes out of that channel, or the flume we call it. We could probably get up to 20. We've been up as high as 2250.
3 times a day? Or?
Yeah, 3 times a day. We ship about 180,000 pounds a day right now.
So the digestibility on their starch is probably 96% or something like 95%. It's really high. And that's what a defacer does, is it makes you a nice clean edge so you minimize oxidation.
Hello everybody, today we are in the Dutch Meadows farm. So here it's VandeHaar, and we will make a tour in the farm and show you how this management and feed here works. So I hope that you enjoy this video.
Beautiful farm. They do a really nice job.
We don't strip cows anymore unless they have a hard quarter.
Okay. So it's for how many cows?
They're doing 12. There's 50 on each side. Or 25 on each side.
So how many, you're milking 2,000 cows in this parlor now?
We could probably get up to 20. We've been up as high as 2250.
3 times a day? Or?
Yeah, 3 times a day. 3 guys. And they work 12-hour shifts.
How many people work here?
11 of us. One guy feeds, I deal with the cows. I got one guy that helps me, and then he does manure work, sand work in the sand lane, and then there's 3 guys that milk each shift, but they get a day off, so there's 4 of them.
Who does your nutrition?
Joe.
Anything start cows?
Yeah. He does all 3 farms. Sprinklers out there and fans. The sprinklers are on a timer. We got sprinklers in the barns also on the feed bunk. And then we have a bunch of fans too.
And how long is the mission?
It's like 11 hours. Or no, 8. You got me all messed up. That's like 7 hours. They'll get a lunch break and like an hour for the wash. We wash 3 times a day. So. And then at 5 o'clock, the night shift comes in, and then they just leave, and they get their lunch break at 9 o'clock at night.
So these guys will, 12-hour shift, they do one whole milking.
They do a milking and a half.
Yep. And with the 12-hour shift, how many days do they work?
They all get 1 day off, and then every other week they get a half day, 2 plus. So they get a day.
They're hard work.
Oh yeah. They all live right here on the farm. So. And one guy that works with me, he's good and translate. And then they have head guy Sergio. He keeps everything in line with them, and he does a lot of translating. The guy works with me. He's good at translating.
Do you know the numbers of SCC?
We're here at this farm. We're like 110,000. But we have all the younger animals.
So what's your milk production?
Like 90 pounds. But we get all the young. We're getting all first lactations here.
Okay.
Cows got to walk the farthest, so we get the younger, the best. I mean, we'll get some second and thirds, but they got to have no problems at all when they freshen. Oh, actually, there's another person. There's a guy pushing. I forgot about that guy. And there's a crowd gate, and that's about it back there. So this flushes, and we're having an issue with one of the airbags down there. It's broke, so. But usually in between every other group, they'll flush the holding pen to keep it clean. And it's recycled water, so these little doors flip up and it cleans it.
How did that work in January?
Good. We don't have any problem with it. So.
You guys shut the curtains?
Yeah, we shut the curtains unless it's up. I mean, you get those weeks where it's going to be warm. We'll open up the top ones.
So this is the gate that push cows?
Yep, that's the crowd gate.
Okay.
It'll lift up.
Or need someone to?
They have to hit the button. So, but it'll run so far, and it runs off pressure. So if there's too much pressure, it'll turn itself off with the cows standing there. So yeah, they're all set up for a whole nother set of barns. All the barns are supposed to double, plus a 4th barn is supposed to be added.
After the milking, the cows go to eat
They
something and
Yeah, they go back and they got fresh feed in the
Fresh
morning.
Okay.
And we push up feed pretty much every 2 hours all day. So every other pen.
And you serve twice a day or once?
We just feed once a day.
Feed once.
Well, he feeds and then he's got to do some split batches, and that's later in the day.
Does he try how many, one diet for everybody, or
No, we do
couple
two diets.
Okay. And then you try to just keep track of if they're running out of feed, you bring more, or you.
Well, it's all computerized with Easy Feed, so it's pretty simple and everybody can track it. One Josh at the other farm, he does all the tracking.
You have to clean up.
Yeah, we clean up and then they push that out every morning. They're right before he feeds that pen, and then we actually refeed it to one of the pens, so we don't have so much waste. And then, yeah.
A low pen or what?
Oh, it's a pregnant pen, yeah. Oh, so, but we used to throw it all away, and it was just we were wasting too much. Yeah. We're a direct load, so it goes from plate cooler filters, and it's loaded onto the trucks. So we have no treated cows here. It's all strictly just milking healthy animals. So pretty much. So the cows come here like 10 to 14 days in milk, and then once a week, and that same day I send back cows going dry. So if I have a problem with a cow, she goes back, or I sell it to your other farm. Yeah, the original farm. So they deal with all the sick cows and the freshens there.
Okay.
So everything freshens at one farm.
You're breeding, so
I do all the breeding here.
You have vet checks regularly?
Yeah, we ultrasound. The vet comes out every Wednesday. So yeah, they're ready to expand. It's just they got to build the barns and finish the parlor and put a crowd feeder.
Yeah, do you know what group is this?
This is the pen 23, the heifer pen. Well, one of them. Pretty much everything gets heifers now that they bought the new farm. So the oldest cows stay at the home farm, so they don't got to travel. And then the Berlin gets second, third, maybe fourth.
So all your calving is one at the
At
old
the
farm.
new farm, or the original farm, Dutch Meadows.
So that way they're calving, they have one or
They
two
have
people
one
that are just
calving
kidding.
area, and they have two guys working all day. There's 2 shifts, I believe, or 3.
You have a feed center, or you do that all outside? Or?
We just right back there, he gets the grain, protein mix, and out of the bins, and the whey out of those yellow things. And then he puts corn salad in here. It's pretty simple. Sometimes we feed beet pulp or snaplage if it's available.
Yeah.
So if we get a good buy on beet pulp, they'll feed it. But
So those bins have everything? You must.
yeah, they're out here all the time. Pretty much every day. It's hard to make it through a weekend.
They have plans to do anything with
Yeah, they've talked about building a feed
center.
barn and everything with a tilt, a dump box in and everything.
Yeah.
But right now the guy can get done in like 8 hours, so that's why they really haven't changed anything yet. And they keep the bins because it keeps the shrink way down.
that? Yeah.
So as much feed as they're going through. So we have headlocks in every pen, and then there's misters, sprinklers on the headlocks, and then fans. Fans are on a temperature sensor, so when it hits 62, I think it is, I got it set at, they kick on. The sprinklers kick on at 70, and then they run for 1 minute every 10 minutes. Corn silage, haylage, and mineral protein mix, and dry corn. So this is a pregnant pen here, and this is a breeding pen, the painted cows. We still tail paint every day, and yeah, we don't breed anything off first service off of natural heat. So we don't cherry pick. We let them all go through time to eye. We get a lot better conception that way.
So the regular off sync or double off
We do
sync?
pre-sync 11 here. They do double off sync at Dutch Meadows and double off sync at Berlin. So, but it works out better for everybody's schedule to do it differently here. Our conception's really good here, but we do have the younger animals.
Yeah.
So, and then if they're open, they go right back into off sync. And I do breed after the first service, standing heats too. So.
Okay.
We get our best off that pre-sync program, our best conception.
They look like their condition's okay.
Yeah, they're
What technology do you use here? It's some collars, something.
collars.
Yeah, collars not.
They just bought a system out of Germany, the Smart Tech, I think it is.
Okay.
We just before it was just me tail painting. So, so they never
And
did.
you do
we
all
do
the
it,
breeding.
yeah, except for on the weekends.
Yeah.
So there's 4 of us that rotate, so we only got to work 1 week in a month. So it's not bad. We do have a sort gate down at that end. That is slick. If you got a big dairy, you need one of those. So if you want to sort any cows, if they're sick or for vet check or shots, anything, we just put it in the computer and it kicks them out. And we get probably about a 98% catch rate. So it's pretty good. It's handy. It's like having another person.
Do you have problems with cows going into the wrong pen, somehow getting in the wrong pen?
Only if the amigos mess up. So that's about it. But the painted pens, it's easy because they're painted.
Yeah.
So if they're in a different color, I catch them quick. And like with the sort gate, if I have a mix-up, I can put a whole group into sort. So if I want to say these cows get in here, I can put the whole pen in, and it'll pull everybody
Through the
out.
sort gate, it'll
Yeah.
sort them the way they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
About the management, what do you focus on? Make the feed in front of the cows every time, or what's the focus of the people in the farm? To
Focus?
to produce more and continue to make a good job.
Yeah, to produce high quality milk at a low price and have good forage for them, I guess. I don't
Good forage.
Yeah. Keep cattle healthy. Don't quote me on that. I'm not much of a public speaker. So.
I think you're doing a good job.
Right here, before each pen, he'll push out 1 pen, and that's for these 2 pens, and that he weighs it, and then that computer will actually calibrate it to what exactly needs to be added to it for the leftover batch.
So that all's in the system, so you know how much Weighback
Yeah,
there was,
we know
and
how much
you
Weighback.
fed, and
Yep.
what the average intake was. So okay.
And then every load that comes in for the bins or even the piles, they weigh every load of corn silage that comes in, and they so it all gets entered.
So you can calculate shrink on the corn silage.
Yep. And like this barn, all 3 of these barns they got all the dirt work done here to expand them that way.
Okay.
And then there's supposed to be a 4th barn. So it's going to be a big expansion when they do it.
Wait, so the barns here?
These barns pretty much just double. So we'll still keep the same manure system, this sand lane flume system.
So to get to the parlor, how will those
They're
cows?
going to all go down here. And
Yeah, all go
they're
that
supposed to
way.
build a treatment area barn for me that goes off the back of the holding pen, and the sort gates are going to get moved down there. But when I started here, they didn't have a sort gate, and I was just happy they built it. But a high quality feed is the biggest. That's your biggest thing, right? Moisture, not blossomed. I mean, like today you don't want to blossom, you don't want a purple. That's the high. And cut it every 28 days.
Okay.
I haven't dealt with feed much in the last 6 years. I just deal with the cows and the amigos. So, yeah.
Yeah, you
And
can see
feed them
there's
on time. You want it consistently every day. Everything consistent.
there's really no corn. You don't see any corn in there, but it's in there.
We don't want to see one.
Yeah.
The feed guys out here every week doing manure samples.
So the corn is ground really well. Your corn silage must be processed, and
Yeah.
so yeah, it's all getting digested.
And size of particles is used from state box or something.
Yeah, they use a shake box,
Shake
and there's the feed guy Joe, and then his helper is out here every week running samples, doing shakes, and he's manure screens also.
So that's a particle from the corn silage because it falls apart.
The ground corn looks like flour. You don't even see any
Like
of the
pig
outside
feed,
shell
yeah.
of it. Yeah, it looks like pig feed. Yep.
So the digestibility on their starch is probably 96% or something like 95%. It's really high.
They scrape with a skid loader into this channel, and then the water goes out back down a sand lane. I don't know if you guys know anything about sand lanes. If you're interested in the poop.
Mm-hmm.
There's 1, 2.
You said you have sand, right?
I think there's 5, 6 lagoons back there. So everything's battered with recycled sand twice a week.
Did you use it cottonseed here or not?
Nope.
No, it's
Okay.
expensive to buy or.
They just don't have nowhere to store it, and they don't
Yeah.
want to use it.
They don't have. You don't use many byproducts at all. You're using.
Just the way.
Okay, you have whey, and then sometimes
Beet
beet
pulp.
pulp. But that you can just pile
they'll
out.
have the flash sales in the spring when it's going to warm, and then they'll usually buy it. Or if they have a big sale earlier, they'll do it.
Yeah.
The price has got to be right, but we have so much corn that we have nowhere to put it too. Right this year. Some years we do, and some years we don't.
So these walls are put up just.
Just the push out, yep. Just for the push out. And then when the barns get expanded, they're just going to be there. They won't ever be used again. And then I got a room right there. It's a little breeding room. So I'm right close to the cows. I don't got to walk far. Okay.
Who do you guys use for bulls?
Alta. I use Alta.
Oh yeah, you said that earlier. Didn't you?
We breed sex semen. I get about 35 units a week to use on first lactation for service cows. At the other farms, they pretty much breed all the beef. So they want those $800 calves. So they only breed enough for what they need to stay at the size they are until they do the expansion.
And I didn't catch that. Do you use beef on any of the?
Yeah, everything else I breed to beef.
Oh,
At this farm. At the other 2 farms, they breed everything to beef, except for the virgin heifers. They get bred to sex.
Even though you guys want to expand.
You gotta have places to put those
Well, that's
heifers.
true, yeah.
They got a ton of heifers. So yeah, they got cattle at, I don't know how at their uncles. There's heifers, and I think 3 other places besides those 2 big farms. So
And when you do a good job with calves,
yeah, they do a great job.
then you have a lot of heifers.
Unless you breed them to beef.
Yeah.
How many wagons do you have?
Feed wagons?
Yeah, feed wagons.
We have this one, and then we have a backup old one sitting up by the road.
Horizontal or vertical?
It's vertical.
Vertical.
Yeah. But everything's cut up so much, there isn't even knives in it, I don't believe anymore. So, well, there. See that corn didn't get mixed in. That's what the corn looks like. The brown corn.
Yeah. So really pulverized corn. The thing about that, it ferments pretty fast. I mean, it's going to all be digested. But some of it will probably pass the rumen and get to the small intestine. So you're less likely to get acidosis with that than say a high moisture kind of corn that's pulverized.
What is this?
That's for the sprinklers.
Okay.
And then they just run off this little box. That little box turns them on and off. There's a solenoid on each side. So if I need to fix one side, I can turn one side off and keep working the other side. It's all plate cooler water that's used out here. And the water of the cows is all plate cooler, recycled water. So we try to save as much water as we can.
You can't get any bird. Well, looks like birds try, but they
Yeah,
can't.
there's not too bad.
You know the size of the barn?
There's 255 stalls in each pen. I do know that.
Here you wash the sand?
It's just a sand lane, and when they take it out of the sand, he puts clean water in and it kind of rinses it. And then he'll stack it outside the sand lane, and it'll stay there probably 10 days, 2 weeks, and then he'll move it to another pile. and it'll stay there another 10 days, 2 weeks, and then he'll put it in that elevator and stack it, and that's all we do.
Question: why is the sand hot? Does it get
It's warm because it heats up out there to kill all the bacteria.
Yeah. So you heat it or it composts?
It kind of compost. That's what I was just explaining.
Oh, okay.
But it's, you can go in there.
What's that?
Here, you want-
Yeah, I just wonder if it's composted or how that works. Recycled sand is if there's bacteria in it, then you're spreading mastitis. But because it's composted or heated in the process of let it sit for a bit.
So that manure will go down that channel, and then it hits a 90, and then they have a sand lane. It's just cement on a very, I don't remember what the grade is, and then it settles all the sand out, and then everything else goes out to the manure pond, the water and manure. And then that manure goes in the first stage, and that's where you get most of your solids, and then all there's is a pipe, pretty much gravity, so then it just goes to the next stage, all the liquid, and by the time it gets to the third or fourth stage, whatever you want to call it, it gets pumped back up here, that water, and starts the whole, that's what we use for a flushing, to flush and run this, and that's all ran on a timer too. So, but if you smell the sand, it don't smell bad at all.
I smell this, yeah. Smells like river sand.
So that sand, yeah, it'll sit in the first pile after he takes it out of the sand lane for like 2 weeks, 10 days, and then he'll move it with a payloader to another pile, and it'll sit there another week or 10 days, 2 weeks, and then he'll stack it, and that's all we do with it. So, and it gets brought back in here. We don't have to buy very much sand. Once in a while, they'll buy some of the.
So how often do they clean out the sand lanes?
He cleans, there's 2 sand lanes back there because they built another one for the expansion. So after he Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but he rotates them. So they actually, that sand will sit in that lane for a couple days before he cleans it. So there's like a leachate pond down there, so all the water that comes off the cement pad goes into that pond, and they use that to pump into the Morse system when they need clean water also. So this one's off. He cleaned the other one out, so he's running that one. This will sit till tomorrow. Most of your sand will settle down there. It comes out of that channel, or the flume we call it, and hits a 90 and it's got to turn, and it slows it down, and then the sand just settles out of it. And then he'll come in here and dip it out, and this is your first pile. This would be your dirtiest sand right here. And then he'll move it over to there and leave it there for another couple weeks, and then he'll stack it. Pretty simple. So these 2 ponds right here are your stage 1s. So most of your manure will get trapped there. And then you see that pipe, that PVC pipe?
Yeah.
That water's got to go up into there to go to your stage 2, which is the next pond over there on the left. And then it goes to stage 3, and that's a little bit bigger pond, and that's your clean water. And then there's another pond here for storage, and then another one on the other over there.
So how often you got to clean these? You got 2 stage 1s?
Yeah, but they twice a year, 3 times a year. The only problem we'll ever get is if my water gets too dirty, and then I'll have to get me clean water out of stage 3 or 4. So, yeah, because the water gets so saturated with manure that it won't catch.
Okay.
And I'll start getting a buildup down in my flume.
You're saying you'll get manure buildup in here?
No, I'll get buildup in that channel.
Oh, okay.
Flume. And you can't let that get bad or you got problems. So usually they just give me clean water, and within a few days it'll clean the flume right out. But I'll get sand down the bottom of it to stay in there.
So those have concrete bottoms, or?
Nope, they're clay. And they'll come in with a floater agitator, one of those, you ever seen them? Yeah, they have run remote control and mix and mix and mix. So, and then they drag line everything out in the fields.
Oh, okay.
They pump everything out. So.
How many acres they have right here?
I think it's 80.
What's that?
It's just 80.
Oh,
They buy all their feed.
from local farms.
Yep.
So this side is built a little different than the other
Yeah,
side.
they did that other side to see if they could catch more sand with that extra wall on it. I believe was the reasoning behind it. So, but the water from here drains back in there.
So in the winter, you must have a little ice on there, no?
No, it's moving water.
I guess. And it's warm water to start with.
Well, I guess, yeah. It's right out of the pond. This one's manually pumped into. There's a pump down in this little house. And it runs, and then the other one runs out to that one.
So that one's gravity, this one's got to
Yeah.
be pumped. I got you.
That's Kyle's deal. I just tell him when I'm having problems up there that I need clean water and somebody will be out. But I have no crop guys here. I have a shop guy come out once in a while. That's about it. So try to keep it simple. You can smell this sand. It doesn't smell bad. A little bit worse than that in there. But
How long has it been sitting there?
well, this end is, like you can see by how sloppy. This has been there probably working on
So it's pretty
10
coarse.
days.
Yeah, hardly.
It doesn't smell like manure.
No, it doesn't.
And then the idea of the big piles is to get it to heat, to kill any bacteria in it. It's a slick system. If you're gonna milk thousands of cows, it's a good one to. My brother said in Russia they have them too. The one farm that he had them, and it gets a lot colder there. So yeah, this is the stuff he took out yesterday. Yeah. I'm assuming yesterday. I don't.
Yeah, it doesn't even smell bad.
No, it also, that's why the stones are in the specific type of sand they want,
Yeah,
with that little stone in it.
It's a coarser sand than I
Yeah.
normally see. Seems like.
It's not like out your normal pit room
Yeah.
stuff. They want it that way so it settles in the sandling. And they have them at all three farms, those sandlings. So back in that far one next to the woods is a floater pump, and then that water actually goes all the way up there. So they steal water up there from the water coming up, and that goes into a pit and gets pumped into that silo, and that's where we get our pressure for flushing.
Oh, okay. You guys go by.
No, we
just
don't.
Today we're breeding a bunch of. We have like 6 sires maybe you use or something like that, or.
I'll have like 3 sex semen ones, and then there maybe 2 different beef.
Oh, yeah,
bulls.
for the beef it doesn't matter. Yeah.
So, yeah. We're
So you
not
rotate
I
through-
don't go look at a cow and say, hey, I want to improve this.
Yeah.
I just breed them to what
So
I.
you have like 3 bulls, and then every 3 or 4 months or
Yeah,
something.
when the
they'll
proofs
get
come out, they
rotated.
change them. So yeah, we try to do high conception bulls with the components that we want. 150 days of milk cows.
Wait, so you do have dry cows here?
No, we were just trimming them before they go back.
Oh, before they
Because
go
there's no good place to trim them there.
Okay.
So like 120 days of milk on trim. We just call it 150 day trim, but it's 120 days. And then like after 180 days, 190 days, I'll trim them again.
Could you repeat about the hoof trim?
We're trimming twice a week here. It's a 120 day trim, which we call 150 day, the mid-lactation, and then they get trimmed for before dry off here. So, because it's a lot easier to trim a cow with the sort gate sortner and then go into a pen and trying to pull cows out of your dry lot where they don't have cows, because the cows wouldn't walk through the sort gate every day. This was fed earlier today, quite a while ago. And as soon as he dumps that pen, he'll be out here pushing feet out. That's his time to push feet out.
They don't have any problem with freezing with all that flush water. Nice looking. They like to do pre-bloom, which is good, so they really focus on forage quality. Good quality forage means fiber that's digestible, and they have a lot of long particles in here to help promote rumination and good rumen buffering. Those are all keys for high production. Wouldn't want that pile falling over on you, would you? It's a lot of haylage. And then every day they said they come through and they use a defacer to make a nice clean face on the corn silage and haylage. That way you minimize any air contact with the preserved material so that you don't have spoilage and you prevent, well, every time the stuff oxidizes you lose nutrients.
What's the difference between?
That's corn silage and that's alfalfa haylage. So up here is where the defacer is a big metal wheel with little blades on it that scrapes it and makes a nice clean face. Down here, the defacer only works so far down, and now this was done with the loader as the loader tips up, and you can see the difference. This has a lot of little edges. So there's a lot more surface area for oxygen to get into the preserved material and start to break it down. Whereas up here it's pretty flat. Mm-hmm. And that's what a defacer does, is it makes you a nice clean edge so you minimize oxidation, breakdown of the material. And then once, of course, it's in a pile, well, now it has a lot of oxygen can get to it, so you wouldn't want to have it in a pile for very long. One of the things they pointed out, so they have a processor, a kernel processor, that helps break all the little corn kernels or smashes them. So all of this starch is quickly available for the microbes so that you have high fermentation in the rumen. High digestibility of the starch. The microbes use that starch to make protein. So you know this farm is doing a lot of things right. If they're getting 90 pounds of milk, 40 kilos out of primiparous animals. The cows looked great and they put a big focus on quality feed. I know their nutritionist, he's very good. You know, they start off with just a simple diet, corn silage, alfalfa haylage, and then ground corn, and I'm guessing these are protein supplements. Maybe one is soybean meal, one's a blended protein, and then they use some liquid whey. Actually, I'm wrong about that. Probably one is the protein supplement and the other one might be a mineral, maybe a mineral bypass protein supplement. And then ground corn. Very simple diet. A very simple system, no fancy barn. I think that someday they would like to have a better barn, but yeah, they don't spend a lot of money on the barn for mixing. They bring in, I think they said corn comes in every day because this is not a lot, but because of that they don't have a lot of waste. So when they buy corn, it all gets fed.
What is this? This yellow?
Liquid whey.
They use molasses here?
We sometimes do. In Michigan we grow, we have a beet, we grow sugar beets for sugar, and so there is some molasses, but we don't feed it very often. No. And then this is the workers all live here. That's pretty common.